Let's mass make some fun ephemera for our journals. Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. Hello and welcome back again. Now here you can see an array of interesting things before me. I've got some journaling cards over here. I've got some really fun embellishment pieces all created out of napkin. And here you can also see some decorative papers, and this could be created by stamping or stenciling. So I was using up things that I had, and I've got to this point where I've got all the things in front of me, like a lovely buffet of interesting things to play with. And I just wanted to make things that I can piece together simply, quietly, easily in my quiet crafting space. So join me if you will, and if you followed along with the previous video, you can find that in the playlist here on YouTube, which is Build a Signature 2025. You'll be able to follow along in sequence all the videos that I've been putting out relating to our coastal summer journal, and this is where we're at. So if you've watched the previous video, you will already know how I pieced these together. And here on the back I've got some crinkly textured tissue paper. Now this was sewing paper, so that was this was the sewing paper that I used to back these tags, and this was a nice fibred handmade paper that had already been printed on, so it was something that I had in my collection anyway. And it is wrapping paper, really nice wrapping paper that you can get in a gift shop, or you may even have been gifted it and you have squirreled it away like I do. I can't let any nice papers leave the house and I also hoard them as well. So if you've got any nice papers, perhaps today's the day to dig them out. It's far too hot to keep making all the things from scratch, so we're trying to use what we've got. If you've got decorative papers or some scrapbooking paper, you can have a go at what we've achieved so far. And this was also putting napkin over the top of some decorative paper. This was like this. It started life as just a piece of decorative paper. This is from Tim Holtz, the wallpaper range, and then I have lined it over the top with some tissue paper, which is the second layer that you can get from a tissue paper, and the one that I was using had some script on it, so if you can find any napkin that may have some script on it, some script writing, text is what I'm trying to tell you, you can put that over the top for a little bit of detail. But it doesn't have to be text, it could be anything you like, anything you can get your hands on. So scrapbooking paper over the top with some napkin paper or some decorative tissue paper, anything you can find. Sewing paper, we're using really thin papers to build up layers. That is the key to get a lovely strong but flexible, thin and lightweight tags for our journals. And again, if you want to see how I pieced these together, they are on the video, which is one back from this, so that's part one if you like. And I was piecing on the napkin after cutting it out and pasting it down with a collage glue. It would have been Mod Podge, Elmer's glue, anything at all, and just creating these really fun patchworks out of fabric. And you can also put them down on paper and have them on cards, so you can cut them out, have little elements like that, little embellishment pieces. You may already have things like that you can cut out of books, and it doesn't have to be seashells. We're just working with the shells today. It could be flowers, butterflies, birds, anything really, anything that you want to work with, numbers, letters. It could be that you're crafting in July and you're wanting to do a holiday theme, so you could think about a more winter theme. Anything at all, anything, it doesn't matter. These will work for any theme, the way I'm going to show you. And these are really good background tags to have on hand. Now these can be sewn into the journal, they could be sewn down the side, they can become part of clusters, they can become part of snippet rolls, they can be anything really, but they're a lovely little make. So if you wanted to get a whole stack of these made up, you just tear down your fabric, cut out some tissue paper with some nice images on it. So there I can see their little shell and the seahorse. That could all be cut and added to some fabric, maybe some cream coloured fabric, linen fabric, cotton fabric, anything you like. This was a nice linen, really lovely texture there. You can see the shells and it all blends in. So they were fun to make and a fun stash to have. Now, the journaling is all about the summer of 1935 in England on the south coast, but it was in Cornwall, so right in the West Country of England, where they were going to meet up and have a lovely reunion. Now, they were old friends. I believe they could have even been school friends. And the original snippet of the story came from letters in my collection from Evelyn and Charlotte. And Charlotte invited Evelyn to come and stay with her at a Cornish cottage retreat, something that she booked. So I'm just going to tell you a little story while we piece this together, let my brain just take over and feel the mood of this lovely journal as the two friends are planning to meet up down on the seashore, walking in the ocean, paddling, feeling the breeze, the wind in their hair, carefree once more after some very difficult, turbulent times. There's grief. I think Evelyn has lost her husband. I think they've both lost their husband, but for different reasons. I think Charlotte is now estranged from her husband, and she is finding who she is again, and she is taking this holiday down on the Cornish coast. Oh, this will never do. The glue has run out, guys. Right. I've got a new glue. It's too hot to fight with the old one. Let's have a look. So we are thinking about... Right, let's get into it. Oh, so let's settle into our quiet crafting space. Let's have a little think. So we are going on holiday. We are down on the Cornish coast in England. We've got the cliff tops. We've got that beautiful blue Atlantic Sea rolling out before us. The wind is crisp and it's blowing in our faces, that salty, fresh, lovely smell of the sea, the ocean spray crashing up against the cliff tops and the beautiful greenery all around, the butterflies, the stunning rolling cliffs and the rock formations and that wonderful wind whistling through the craggy rocks. Let's just settle into that on this coastal path as we're looking out to the sea, but we're also looking down to the cottages as we're walking down the hill in the sunshine, and we've got billowing fabric, so we're wearing a lovely dress. And in this mood, in this moment, we're Charlotte. We are having this wonderful holiday. We have decided to leave all behind and just take a break and just let the wind blow away the cobwebs and just settle down into a wonderful, slower pace of life and relax into something a little bit more natural and kind, being kind to herself for once, just slowing down and really taking stock of what's important. So this is what Charlotte's doing. Now, Charlotte is an artist. Well, she used to be. She hasn't had the time to be an artist, what with just surviving life and being somebody's wife and looking after the house. I'm sure some of us can relate. So now she has taken this opportunity to stay in a cottage. It's called Catchling's Cottage and it is on a hill in St Ives, Cornwall. Now, anyone familiar with that destination will know that it is a mecca for artists. It's got a very special light there and it has been renowned for the place to be if you're an artist for many years. Lots of artists would go there. So there she is, Catchling's cottage. She's enjoying it. It's got a little cottage garden and there's a bigger house next door. And what's happened is the neighbours next door, who are the owners, have been called away for some very unexpected reason overseas to be with family. So there's an emergency and they've had to pack up very, very rapidly and go. So it may be that they've got parents that they've got to attend to, but they've had to leave. And now everybody knows everybody down in Cornwall, and she probably didn't get this house and this cottage in a traditional way where we would book something anonymously. She probably knew them, and it does sound like through the letters that she is from the region originally. So it may be that they have trusted her to look after the property because she's a trustworthy person and they know her. So I think on this one we might have. So they have disappeared off and they've left her in charge of the cottage that she was staying in for her artist retreat. But they've also given her the keys to their bigger house and have told her to check in on it and stay, and if she would like a friend there, then that's okay. So everything is okay. And so she jumps on the opportunity. Once she's had some time there to reconnect with nature, she then invites her friend Evelyn. Now, she hasn't heard from Evelyn in a very long while, but she does know that Evelyn has lost her husband and that she is feeling very sad, managing her grief all by herself with her grown-up children. So we understand that Evelyn has a son. Certainly she may have a daughter as well, but she's definitely got a son, and he is a postman and he's married and he has children. And that's all I really know about Evelyn, other than that she likes to make whimsical crafts. She was not an artist, but she loved to make crafts. Evelyn's got the energy of community. She's the one that would be baking the cakes and running a stall. She's fun, she's warm, and she's crafty, so she makes the craft. She's the one that would be sewing the bunting, baking the cakes, that sort of thing, keeping everybody connected. Whereas Charlotte is an artist and she paints and she has oils and she has her watercolours, and so she is very much looking at nature in a different way. So we've got these two wonderful women as part of our journaling story, looking at things very intently in different ways, as Charlotte does. And then we've got Evelyn, who loves to come down and be part of the community. So she's been told to pack her dancing shoes because they're going to the village dance or the fair or the fete. And so that's what she does. So she gets herself down there, she gets on the train, she's sending a telegram, and she is coming down to meet her friend at the station called St. Earth, which would be a short carriage ride away from St. Ives, where the cottage is. So that's what they do. They meet up and they have this wonderful reunion, and they share a meal and all the lovely things. Okay, so we've got this as a little starting point, and I think these are really cute, so I'm just going to carry on doing that as we get into this vibe, the two women being picked up together and all the conversations that they would have had, reminiscing over a lifetime, and how I think because it was 1935, they would have potentially got married after the First World War, and that would put the ladies, if they were getting married around 24, between 24, 27, something like that was quite usual. Puts them in their 50s, that sort of era of their lives, and meeting up again as friends and discovering who they are without potentially, you know, as mums, who they actually are themselves, and rekindling a friendship there. So that's what they get up to, just having a laugh and a giggle down on the coast. And I think that this is a really nice little journaling exercise, because as we're thinking about things along this sort of line, it does get us thinking about our own lives and rekindling and reconnecting with people we may have lost touch with. And even if we don't physically do that, we are just thinking about it, and that just helps to remind us of certain people in our lives and how they have affected us going forward. And hopefully the ones that you'll bring to mind are positive relationships, and thinking about that. So this is the sort of mood in which we're journaling. It's happiness and friendship, and that's a lovely place to sit quietly and ponder as we are sticking down, playing with the papers. So I've got 3 little tags there starting off. This one perhaps wanted something else, but we'll see. Perhaps I could have moved it up a little bit. Let's just do that. Move this one, and just got a little wiggle room there. And then when I put my tops on, so I haven't left a lot of room there. Okay. All right, let's have a look at the cards now. Okay, I've got another tag. So I'm going to work in a set of 3 for everything. That seems like a good idea. And then just choosing these embellishments. So these were just cut out from napkin, and then they were put down on white cotton. And this could be anything really. This could be bed sheet, bed linen. I love this one. This is lovely. And we just look on the back and check that it sort of corresponds in a way. So we could even have, no, let's have it different. Or we could go that way with it. Yes, I like that. Just gluing it down, very simple. Once you've got everything together, this is just lovely. It comes together quite quickly. Just got to sit and have a play around with offering it up and seeing what it looks like. But you don't need a great deal because you've already done the work. So if you followed the first video and got to this point, you're now just putting down the detail. And then also what you could do is you could have sentiment word there as well. You could even have things swinging off of it. You can do anything you want, but I shall be putting sewing round, so that's how that will tie it all together. But you could hand stitch it. We might add a sentiment or a label, something like that, and then going from there, see how we feel. This is nice because it fills up the journaling card. Love the frayed fabric, just adds a really rustic detail, perfect for down on the Cornish coast. So if you're not familiar with Cornwall, you're not inspired in the slightest, or think that you're not, do have a little Google and have a look at the pictures, because you will see it's an absolutely stunning place. And then you might decide that there are some other places closer to you that you could potentially visit this year. And that is how this wonderful journaling can really help you to get some inspiration, not only for your own artistic endeavours, but also for your adventurous side as well. So we are nurturing all sides here, our creative side and our emotional side, also our adventurous side. So these are fantastic, because if we're making journals, it's really nice to be able to have the memories and be able to write down a few ideas and a few little phrases or moments in time where we went on an adventure. And you don't have to leave your craft room to go on an adventure. I'm already taking you on a lovely coastal walk through the Cornish coastline. Now, if we're in Cornwall, we'd be able to hear the seabirds, and we'd see maybe swallows flying overhead, and we'd hear the gulls, and they have giant gulls in Cornwall ready to steal your ice cream if you're not watching. Really, really big birds. They're really big birds. This is a fun idea. I've got 3 little, it could be embroidery thread. It's actually some sort of decorative yarn or string, but it comes in 3 strands. They're quite large. Okay, so I'm putting 3 strands of this thread or string down, putting a blob of glue and pushing. Could be like a cotton that you could crochet with, could be anything really, but there's some little swinging string pieces. And then what I'm going to do is just taking this scrap of coffee stain or tea stain paper that's got an impression of a doily on there. I think this was sent to me, I believe it was sent to me by Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie is from the north of England and sent me a few lovely scraps and things from her craft table to mine, and I think this is perfect because it gives that vintage detail and also a lovely organic feel. So I've trapped it in there. That could be anything that you want to put on there, piece of lace, anything at all. And I'm just going to bring that over like that, and then I'll just tear off that bit and glue that down. So now I've got my cords there. Now the other thing that I was doing in my previous video was gluing down the little cutout pieces from my napkin. So I'd gone round with the scissors, I'd cut out the shapes that I wanted, and then I was pasting them down onto a sketchbook so that I could cut them out and have them as embellishments. So I already cut one out, so it's like that, and I cut out the white border as well. So I'm just going to roughly cut this out. I could tear it, but then I'd get the white tear line, and I think at the moment I'd like to just have the image without the white detail around the edge. So I'm fussy cutting them out. All right. And then what I think I'm doing is I'm going to be putting them on here like that with one of my embellishments. Let's take this. So we have to imagine what the two friends would have got up to the first thing they did when they saw one another. Perhaps there was a little bit of nervousness, not seeing each other for so long. Then there would have been trekking back to this cottage and the delight and all the anticipation after a long journey. Where did these friends go and have their meal? Had Charlotte prepared them something in the cottage? I feel like she might have done that rather than go to the local tavern or the inn. Maybe it was an inn. Maybe they saved that for when they were ready the next day. Perhaps Charlotte had prepared her a nice meal when she got there after this long journey. Well, sort of a long journey, but it's not so far because Evelyn was from Devon, although I don't think she was originally from Devon. So I think both ladies are from Cornwall. Evelyn ended up living in Plymouth with her husband, but we think that the husband may have been northern because there seems to be a northern connection with some of her letters, people sending her things from the north. So that was more for the husband. So we think Evelyn's husband is northern. We think Evelyn is Cornish originally. We think Charlotte is Cornish originally, but she moved back to be more in Surrey, so nearer London. And I think Evelyn's husband had something to do with the Navy because they live in Plymouth. Yeah, who knows? But these ladies did get together and they did rekindle a friendship and find some solace amongst the trauma that they may have been experiencing. And how life has a wonderful way of bringing us back to an equilibrium, meeting up with friends and just resetting, finding that kindness amongst people that we can feel free with, people that understand us. That's hugely important, and it's really nice when we're working within the community here, with the junk journaling community here, and how we just all seem to get one another. We are paper hoarding, scrap loving, glue seeking, just kind, lovely people. And I know that because I see so many lovely messages from you, and they are heartwarming and they're caring. And it's just a really wonderful community that we have here, and it's so lovely for us all to be part of that, to read each other's comments, to learn, to grow within our own creative styles as we piece things together and just fall in love with paper and fabric and scraps and remnants of our lives, trying to work out where it can all go, piecing it together, seeing what works, what we like, what we don't like. Just fun. I just think little dangles. How about that? Should we glue it down? I'm going to need something to back these cards. Now, why didn't I do that? I was talking. So on the back of these, so this really, let's just cut that out. I want something really more interesting. So, and also here as well. So this all wants to be a bit interesting. Let's just add in this ink. This is it's supposed to be a brown. I think I've got brown on my ink dauber and I'm putting it into rusty hinge, so I'm getting a warm brown coming back of undisclosed ink, but that's all right. And these are just going to spin round. Can you hear the seagulls? So I live near the coast, but I'm not right on the coast. I'm about 10 minutes away. Probably 10-15 minutes walk. But you can hear them today because I'm talking about them. They've heard me, that's why. Stop now, they've flown over. Okay, let's carry on. So down on the coast, lovely fresh breeze, and perhaps if you can't imagine that, maybe down by the rivers, down by the stream, maybe being brave enough to dip your toe in the flowing water and just washing away some of those troubles. Okay, now another thing I want to do is take this, and I'm also going to put some ink down on the back of here. It also have been cut into cards, just arranging the little pieces on there. Putting down some stamping here. Hopefully this will work. Oh yes, a little nautical compass. And I'm fussy cutting these little embellishment pieces, which is the napkin now stuck down with a bit of detail on the background there, and just go around cutting those out so that when they turn over there is something worth seeing. Really nice to have them on the card. I thought they looked really good, so that's almost nice as an ephemera idea in itself, having cards with themed little decoupaged elements, all just extracted off of fun napkins that you may gather along the way. So we're taking on some energy here from Charlotte. We're walking along a metaphoric coastal path, and we're just reminding ourselves of who we are and getting into our quiet spaces and taking a little journey into our own imagination, and just think for a moment what it would be like to just slow down and to have that time for ourselves, to plan and think about what we would like to do and what fun we can have. And no matter what drama is actually going on, can we just take a quiet moment? Can we step away from it? Can we imagine for just 10 seconds, for 10 glorious seconds, and just imagine that we're looking out at the horizon and we're watching this big orange ball of fire just drop into the sea as that sun starts to set, and that sparkling ocean just welcomes us to wash away all our worries. Can we think like that for just a moment and breathe the fresh air, hear the birds, look at the butterflies, just see the coastal flowers moving around in the wind? Just can we imagine that? And as we do that, can we just relax our shoulders and feel the tension leave us? Can we remember to look after ourselves? Can we take a glass of water and revive ourselves, thinking of that ocean? Woo! Yes, yes we can. So this is why journaling, any journaling, dealing with our rubbish, dealing with our scraps, dealing with our junk, gives us the freedom to play, taking us back through history, wondering whether the women had the same problems as we do today and how they overcame them. What brilliant ideas did they come up with? Did they just use nature to their advantage to help slow down, calm down? So many decisions that we have to make today. Perhaps it was just a happier, quieter time and just taking ourselves there for 10 seconds, 10 glorious seconds, just to, let's take a moment. And each one of these cards represents that moment of when you could pick up that seashell and listen to the ocean through the hollow, or marvel at the colours, the texture, or the shape of these beautiful natural wonders that are part of this glorious planet we all live on. Okay, so I've got this index paper here. I was just cutting out a circle there. I'm going to put a little bit of ink over the top there as well, and then carry on punching, because what I want to do is I want to stick my little elements to my string, and I want to be able to put something over the top. Just punching out a few of those circles, and then I can see how I'm wanting this to look. So now I'm sticking down one of the circles over the top of the little string thread where I've put that, capture that in, and there's a sort of a detail. It's a good detail. Now if I wanted something more pretty, I could then add something else on the other side and make more of it, but I think at this point we'll leave it like that for now. Covering piece which will hold it all together and make sure that it's not overhanging on the other side. Away like that, and there we have it, this fun little dangle. And on the back you can put words that would be fun to find. I think that would be great. So for this I'm now going to secure them. Although they're swinging, I'm actually going to keep them in position. And then we can put some words on the back if we want. So I think that this might be a nice idea, just taking one of these big chat little stickers here, using the word her, because we're talking about Charlotte. So I'm putting her like that, and journey. It's her journey that she's going on for her. Amazing. There we go. And then we could just add a little aging detail there, and I think with this some glue, and that will finish this off nicely. It's just a fun detail that will swing around. You'll be able to read it. Little sentiment, sort of, little message really. Her journey, that could mean lots to different people, and if you want to add more you can. So there is the idea, really simple, really fun. I think I will add another shell at the top there just to balance out that, and a little bit of ink to these reinforcement rings, which are pretty old now. They've been floating around the craft from here for some time. Just there, like that. And I've just got a stamp, so I'll just see if I can put some wording over the top of it. Okay, so I've now put some stamping on these reinforcement rings. I'm just going to put one here, add another reinforcement ring to the back, and a little ink around And then what I will do is add some sewing just to make sure this is all kept together. And these are some very thin, fine, but funky tags. Slightly different, just with that extra embellishment detail coming in there for something a little different. Just got a little fluffy torn edge to the bottom of them as well. So a nice rustic, cool idea. All right, looking good. So nice, thin, lightweight tag. I've got a little bit of lace here, so I'm just going to push that through there, and this is my tag done. Really cute with a little top there. And that's nice and fine as well. So that's really good. So that was that one. So we've got all these coming together now. Really great fun. Okay, and I'm just going to go with the words that are jumping out at me, and this one says more. More time. Yes, more time. More time for what? What would you do with more time? More time for you, more time to create, more time to explore, just more time. I'm sure we can all relate to that. We all need more time for thinking things out, more time to live, more time to breathe. Great little sentiment there just to think about. Oh, they are lovely. I love those. That's cool. Aren't they good? And a nice scallop on it here, so it just echoes the sense of waves. Bring that up. Pretty detail with some interesting things going on there. Nice thin flexible tag, and another one to add to our collection. So there we go. They are great. Sometimes I have no idea what things are going to come out like when I sit down to craft, and they really surprise me. So I think I'd like to do the tops on those. I'll come back to that one in a minute. Now I found this nice piece of fabric here. It's darker and it's got the little white flowers on it, and I think it will just bring out the darker tones within the tag. I'm going to put some glue on the top just to sort of tack it on, and what I want to do is just put a little bit of it on there so we have some trailing down, and then I'm going to sew around and I'll just capture it in, and it will look a bit scrappy, but I'm going to have a loop up there, just attach it in there, so that's the bit that you could then potentially pull it out of. Just snip that away, and then the stitching will come round, and if I want to shorten it after I've stitched it on, because I've got that in place, then I can tidy that up. But I like that idea. Now maybe these tags are something that Charlotte would have pulled together, and perhaps the fun one would be something that Evelyn put together, and the pair of them are just quite creative, and you get two different looks. So you could even have two parts to the journal, one with a more artist feel and the other one with a more whimsical feel or craft feel. But there we go, I don't know, it's just a fun play, isn't it? So I'm going to leave these plain. You could add a little bit of one-word journaling down there, but that's something that I'll leave and do in my own time when I'm wanting to journal with them, or if I'm giving them away, that could be a choice for somebody else. So those are the fun ones, and these are lovely. You can say which ones you prefer. So now for what could become the front cover of a mini journal. I just want to piece together this simply by gluing down this topper piece, which has got 3 shells put down on it to make a nice seam. Just see where it would be, make sure that I've got that to the centre. And now I've got this cord elastic, which is in a perfect colour, this lovely buff colour, and what I think would happen is that it would come around here. Alright, just to recap, this was made out of scrapbooking paper. I've got one here which is the imitation wallpaper from Tim Holtz, so that is folded in half, and then I just pasted over it, and then I had this second layer of a napkin with the ghost image of some text that went over the top just to give a detail. and create strength and a frayed fabric feel, which is a detail down the side there, all the way around in fact, and then in here is a sewing paper which I added, I showed you at the beginning. So this has given it a lovely flexible, movable but nice and strong book cloth, and here I'm just going to punch a hole in there, and I think what I'll do is I'll use my awl. I'm just going to let's guesstimate, so I'll just punch a hole through there with the awl, and then I think I'll have an eyelet as well. Do I want an eyelet? No, let's not have an eyelet. Let's just put our cord through. There we go, like that. Push that through. And then I'm just tying that in there. I'm hoping that this is okay because this is quite an enormous knot. But we've got that there. This can be moved, but it's not going to go anywhere from the centre of that anytime soon. And then this can come over here like that. When this expands with papers in it, that's a really lovely closure. So that's how that's going to look. And then I think what I'll dangle off of it, I've just found this pearl, and this comes from a broken jewellery, so a broken bracelet as it happened, little charm that was dangling down, but it is what looks like a freshwater pearl or an imitation, but it does look like it could be real. So I'm just putting that on there, and that's the beauty of finding junk jewellery as well, because you can sometimes get some really nice or unusual pieces. But trapping that on there now, so when this comes over we can bring the little pearl detail here. Oh, that's super sweet. So I think what we want is our papers inside, but it could be a nice storage area for some journaling cards, so they fit in there. That's a good idea. In here now, I could even have a belly band in here, and then the journaling cards can come and be tucked in, and then closed up and protected. And all that was just a lovely time at the craft table. Okay, zooming out so that you can see the array of different ideas here, what I've been able to create today, having the lovely toppers that I made the previous video, being able to cut out napkin, paint it onto fabric with my collage glue, has then allowed me to put it on top of these really lovely cards. These could be ACT artist trading cards, they are journaling cards, they're just a nice collection of 3. So I'm really pleased with those because I just think that the stitching around there really adds to something. I've chosen a lovely cream, almost golden metallic thread that went around all of these actually. We've got this beautiful book here, I'm really pleased with it. Little pearl dangle, elastic opening, and it's just really cute. So it's like that, put a little bit of fabric trapped on the back, nice and simple. You could add a pocket if you wanted to, but it's a lovely little travel notebook, tuck in a handbag or a purse, even in the back pocket. And here you can add all sorts. This could be for sewing, and have some fabrics sewn in there so that you've got maybe your needle and thread could be kept in here. And I've just put some artist paper here to give you an idea that perhaps 2 signatures could come and live in here, and they would go either side of that elastic bauble. I'm sure there might be many ways of doing that to make that neater, but this is just a rustic scrappy piece, really fun, nice and quick, and you can have that to do some quick sketches or something if you were on the go. So a nice one to throw in a bag, great little gift there. And then these lovely tags are great with the sewing, keeping them nice and thin, but they've got some strength to them, some flexibility, great writing space, pop in a back of a pocket, and there's room for words, more embellishment, a photograph, anything, you know, if you want to add some more journaling detail up there, a label, anything. So those have just been left like that. And then here's the back. We've got one with an original stamp from the sewing paper, so that was vintage sewing pattern paper. And then just some nice little ideas here. I've got a pin with a mother of pearl button. I thought that that could even come and live. You know, you could have something like that, a little dangle hanging off of a journal or a page. And there's that idea, put a little ring binder on that one. This was one that I did when I made it in the original video. I damaged it, but I think you could have some patchwork or a different coloured patch fabric, perhaps bringing in a colourful patch over the top of. I've got a slightly damaged bit there, so I was just thinking, you know, you could do some collage with fabric. I think these would look great stitched down, and wherever there's a bit that you weren't really happy with, you could stitch another patch over the top, so they can be something that you sew onto. These are great. You could have these as policy closures or buttons, just put some holes in. They could be sewn on nice and flat, and then of course we put some ink on the back so that they will go anywhere. They could be page turners or tabs and embellishments to decorate, so really nice to keep hold of. Then I've got a little cluster forming here with a nice piece of lace on an edge. That would look great on a page edge. You can see how these can all be used, and again, this sort of thing that could come and live potentially on top of an envelope, so that's how that could work. Nice little envelope to add to the journal. Give some detail and embellishment. You've got loads of ephemera before you even know where you are. You can have it all matching in, nice continuity, and all this is one napkin, guys. You can just have an explore and see what you can get your hands on. But yeah, this has all come from one napkin, just the embellishment pieces, and I've still got plenty more to play with, so I thought I could punch those out like circles. They could be put down the side of a journal. Little scraps here to use, some string twine, brings in the vibe. Cotton, sari silk, tea stain, coffee dye, all lovely, gives it a really nice vintage feel. And map is a great one as well. You could bring that in for a coastal theme if you were thinking along these lines. But look, I just thought this was lovely. So we've got little clusters here. You can have torn book page behind. Then you can use these embellishments to make all sorts of decorative ideas to go and just spice up the pages. So you can now store these things. Look, this could be glued down, be something on top of the page, some just little show off there of some lace. And I think that these are some wonderful ways of just sitting down, having a nice quiet session in your craft room, being able to put together ephemera pieces, decorative embellishments that you can add to a journal. So I'm going to be adding all these to my journal going forward, and I shall be sharing them with my swap partner this month, which is Jeanette from Birmingham, who is currently on her way on her own holiday on a lovely cruise to Spain and France. So what a wonderful coastal theme that we are piecing together for her return back to the UK. So there we go, another wonderful craft session in our quiet spaces, just playing around with some fun elements and seeing all the different ways in which they can be used, adding them to strips of fabric there as well, making a ribbon, so if you had lots of shells that could come down the page, form a belly band or a side tuck. Loads of things you can do, and I now feel very inspired to start adding these to my journal pages. So now the next task will be to make a journal, to start adding some of this in and get all inspired for the summer ahead. And sometimes the simple way is the best. We don't need to over embellish things. You could just make your tag do the talking with some simple fabrics and some lace captured in on the side, just some delicate sewing, and then have that on the back, and it's a beautiful tag just as it is. We would not necessarily need to add the bells and whistles as we have done here by making these a little bit more of an interactive, playful, fun time part of a journal. But you know, every journal has a fun page, and these could come and be that on our coastal or sea or ocean journals this year. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope that gives you lots of inspiration to go and look at your supplies and your napkins in a different way. If you haven't got napkin, maybe you've got some books or some scrapbooking paper you can cut out and potentially stick it onto some fabric or some frayed edge papers and have a wonderful time. So thank you so much for joining me today. Do check out the other videos in the playlist for Builder Signature 2025. You can watch how I'm piecing my journal together in the next few videos to come. So if you've liked the mood here today and you like to slow down in your quiet crafting space, do hit the subscribe button and you'll be able to follow along for more tutorials and some inspiration along the way for journaling, for junk journaling, and for creative ephemera making. So I will see you in the next video, but above everything else, guys, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.